One sec, I just bumped my camera stand and now it's completely in the wrong place.
The last few months of Peppy's life have been consumed by Lazer, all in preparation for earning PP on the new client by the end of the year. Yes, that's in 2 weeks, and yes, things aren't ready yet, but they will be. While the goal of the path to ranked play is to get gameplay in a state people are happy with, this changelog also makes Lazer just a better OS in general.
I guess the main one which I can actually talk about is the Ollie Bombi change to freehand slider drawing. Now you can make amazing shapes every time using freehand drawing.
Okay, wait, I have to test this.
You will be impressed. So there's two changes here. One is that now the actual internal storage of the curves is one level of smoothness higher. And in addition, Ollie Bombi completely rewrote the algorithm to track the user input to the output. Basically, it's using simple machine learning to make that work.
What is the machine learning doing?
I don't know. Get Ollie Bombi down. He can explain his own things.
According to Olibombi, it's not really machine learning. Here's the full explanation for all the smart people out there. Regardless, sorry, I'm distracted. This completely changes mapping, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's here. You can finally search for skins.
It's like the one thing people have been asking for since 2007. This also works on every dropdown in the game. We made it show the type to search by default on the ones which people would most likely be wanting to search in. But if you're a keyboard user and want to type, you still can.
Search and mod select became more convenient too. Previously you had to press tab to search with the intention of keeping mod shortcuts like in stable, but Lazer has so many mods that shortcuts aren't practical. Instead, you can just search for a mod and press enter. I'd say it's fast enough. This difficulty stat block was added a few months ago, but only today is it really ready for use, because AR and OD now change depending on the mod you're using.
It shows the new values as red or green if they've increased or decreased, but if you actually hover that area, you can also see the old versus new values.
Meanwhile, in the leaderboards of Song Select, you can now enable a score's mods by right-clicking. Previously, this would only work if you clicked directly on the mods, which meant nobody knew this feature existed, myself included. And with this change, Song Select search performance is around
90% faster. I almost did a hotfix for this change because it's such a huge one. We can definitely make it even faster than this, but this was all like 30 minutes of optimization to make that work, so that's always a great win.
And one last quality of life feature, in multiplayer, the host can now abort matches.
To allow tournaments to run better, but also just it can be used in normal multiplayer as well.
So no more MP abort. Nice.
Kokoro is going to steal the spotlight for a bit.
And hopefully,
Yeah, our goal is to get as much in the game via the UIs before we add multiplayer commands in. We'll see how we go with that.
So you probably know by now, this update and the rest of Lazer includes a lot of cool stuff. Stuff that'll make it worth switching from the familiar stable build to Lazer once performance points are on the table. Too bad none of it matters if people aren't satisfied with how Lazer's gameplay feels. That's why the Path to Ranked Play project was created, to make gameplay meet user expectations before locking everything in. Lazer has been flexible about changing gameplay mechanics until now, not really worrying about the effects on old scores, but that's coming to an end. These are the last 2 weeks until Lazer loses its flexibility, so with that in mind, let's talk about Lazer's scoring algorithm.
When you are close to FC, basically, a single miss has too much weight. It makes sense that the first miss costs more than the other miss.
But you're saying
sure.
maybe it shouldn't cost that much.
Exactly.
So this was a work in progress for months. Now that it's in, what does it do?
It's doing a lot of things internally, like it's actually changing the ratio of combo and accuracy. It's adding an exponent which adjusts how much missing combo affects, so takes the edge off on the first few misses. And no one's really sure if this is good or not, but we're pushing it out, and the hope is that we can get feedback in the next 2 weeks from people on how the game feels, how the total score feels when playing and when watching replays and whatnot. It needs to be something which feels good at the end of the day. And our hope is we can make one that feels good in both tournament and solo play. So yeah, pushing this out, looking to get feedback from users.
This right here might be the most controversial thing in Lazer. I'm sure you've heard the story before. You can click sliders early or late in stable without losing accuracy, so mappers have been creating maps with this mechanic in mind. Then when Lazer introduced accuracy for slider heads, everyone complained. So there are 2 slider changes this update. The first makes early clicking more lenient, and the second makes late clicking more lenient. We'll start with the early one. Look at this scenario of clicking early and moving away.
let me try and get this right. If you hit the slider head early, it still enters a tracking state, which means the follow circle, even though you can't see it, it's already expanded. So as long as you're within the tracking circle radius, you are still tracking at the point the slider actually starts its real time. Did I make any sense there?
So that's the first one. Onto the second one. In cases like this, for example, the hit window was reduced by rhythm choice, since you couldn't click after the reverse. Unstable, players adapted to click this early without consequences. While on laser, clicking early means lower accuracy, and if a player tried to click accurately, they'd risk breaking combo on the whole slider. As of this update, you can click after the reverse arrow and not break combo. This even works for short sliders, where you click after the slider finishes. There's even more detail behind this complex change, and honestly, words just make it more complicated. All you really need to know is that clicking and aiming sliders is more lenient now, and if you want laser to feel right by the turn of the year, you should really give your feedback on this.
My hope is that this means that people will come to enjoy slider head accuracy, because it gives enough lenience back that you can actually do it well on a lot more beat maps.
Even if you don't play catch, this one is actually still important to you. With this change, Peppy confirmed that grade cutoffs for all modes are now locked in.
Basically, we had a long discussion about whether we wanted to maintain the grade cutoffs which were in OS stable. And they have a lot of conditions, like there's a certain number of 100s you need to get and miscount, and it's all a bit too complex. So we've decided that we're going to keep the simplified version, which has been in laser to date for OS, Taiko, and catch, which is just 100% is SS, 95% or above, but it has to be full combo is S, A is 90, B is 80, C is 70. The exception to the rule is OS catch, because in catch it's much easier to get higher accuracies. And yeah, we're locking these in. Some people may be disappointed at it not matching stable for OS mode because it makes it harder to tell if you got a full combo. But I think our plan is to display that in a better way on the results screen.
And mod multipliers are one of the few gameplay-related things that are not being finalized by the end of the year. This specific update reduced a few mod multipliers to placeholder safe values, which I'll just let Peppy talk.
Our view on mod multipliers is that maybe they shouldn't be the focus and they should be like an optional thing which you view. We've got a few ideas of how we can change the display of leaderboards going forward. So for that reason, we're not really focused on balancing mod multipliers at this point. So in line with that, in this release, all we've done is we've adjusted mod multipliers to either align with stable, what people are used to, and we also added some mod multipliers to mods where we just feel that like they are potentially making the game easier, and we want to have something in place to make sure that if you're viewing scores with and without mod multipliers next to each other, the easier ones don't come out on top. These aren't necessarily final, so we may make adjustments. They're intended to be lowballing the numbers, if anything.
Can old scores be adjusted if you just change this later?
We can. Yeah, we've already got everything in place to make mod multiplier adjustments on the fly without losing any scores.
As for other gameplay changes, there's not much else to say. In Mania, HP drain now matches stable, and key counts show up in song select. If you're someone who plays converted maps, Smoogie also made a bunch of changes to ensure they work properly. Overall, Laser is in a fairly passable state now, and with the end of the year deadline approaching, this update included some last-minute changes to online connectivity. First, you can now see how many people are online in Laser from the changelog. Second, logging in from another computer will log you out of the other one. And third, the users panel on the dashboard now shows everyone who's online in Laser.
There used to be a tab called Currently Playing, which allowed you to spectate users. That's been renamed to Currently Online, I think it is. Going forward, we're obviously going to improve the interface here, allow searching, allow filtering, grouping by different types of countries or whatever. But this is just a first step to being able to see everyone that is currently playing Laser, and it's very cool to see.
So what's left? I don't really know. It's impossible to predict what will happen once a PP floodgates open. In a perfect world, everyone agrees with gameplay changes and can enjoy Laser as the next major update to OS, but more likely, it'll be impossible to satisfy everyone, and who knows if the masses will choose to switch to Laser even with the option to earn PP. Things are uncertain, yet developers are still striving for user acceptance. Peppy is aiming for a final batch of gameplay-related feedback through a stream or a survey or something else soon, so if you have opinions, that's a good outlet. For now though, I'll leave you with some of Peppy's thoughts on the future direction of Laser.
So this is the last video for the year. We're taking a break on the final video just because it's end of year and making it happen would probably be very hard. But we've got 2 more releases this year. There's this one and one more. This release is intending to lock in as many of the systems, game mechanics, everything we can get in a sane state from our perspective. So in the next 2 weeks between this release and the next release, I am hoping we can get a lot more people giving us feedback on the game mechanics, how it feels, not worrying too much about song select or the UI or the skins or anything. It's about going in, giving Lazer a play and making sure it feels good to you. If we get like a heap of people being like sliders feel crap, then we can potentially make changes in the next 2 weeks. And the reason we want to do that is because the final release of this year, we're turning on PP for Lazer. With that release, we have a hope that we won't have to do any score resets, but I do want to say that that's not a guarantee. If we decide something is not balanced or there's a game mechanic that we just have to change, and in order to do that, some scores may have to be deleted, then it's going to happen. The integrity of the game is more important than keeping scores which are potentially incorrect in some way. Once we get Lazer online, obviously there's going to be a huge influx of users from stable expecting the game to work in one way, and they're not going to be used to the way Lazer works. A lot of people have never tried it. We want to get more of those people involved with the goal of having the game mechanics and feel in a place where people can come across and be like, oh damn, this is an improvement from stable.